You know when you're wasted and you just put every important person and then send them the wrong shit?
Yeah, dude. The first time I ever tried stand-up comedy, I didn't even know I was gonna do it. Somebody invited me to a comedy club to do a stunt, and when I showed up, I decided that my stunt would be stand-up comedy. It was the scariest idea I could think of. So, as I waited for my turn to get on stage, I tried to think of something I could say that would be funny, and I came up with it. Got on stage and I said, "Hey everybody, I'm in the mood for a blowjob. Does anybody want one?" And I got a good laugh. And it just made me want to pursue comedy. So before I left the club that night, I scheduled my return. And I actually wrote out an act. And I showed back up with it. Tiffany Haddish introduced me on stage.
He's a fucking jackass. Give it up for Steveo, ladies.
I was all fucked up, and the first thing I did was let everybody know it.
I don't know if it's the amphetamines, the Xanax, the grass, or the booze, but I feel fucking great.
And I wouldn't say it was awful. I mean, I got some laughs.
Women at large, they want to fuck famous dudes more than all you regular dudes want to fuck anything.
I considered it a huge success. My buddy Bam was laughing at my jokes. John Lovitz performed that night, and he told me that I had potential.
You could do it. You absolutely could do it.
Yes, dude, that means so much. John,
Do it sober.
It's the second time doing it.
I know.
he said I should try it sober, which was a good point.
So that you're actually aware of what you're doing.
But what I heard him say is that I'm a natural talent and I cannot go wrong. So I scheduled my next performance at the Laugh Factory. Probably should have come back and worked on the same material and improved it, but I didn't know comedians do that. So I was like, never telling those jokes again. I'm coming back and I'm just good at it. I'm gonna wing it. And I fucking bombed.
You know when you're wasted and you just put every important person and then send them the wrong shit?
And if it wasn't bad enough to have no jokes and get no laughs, I figured it'd be cool to play a shitty rap song that I recorded.
Steveo's rapping, it's right, not wrong. I hit the bomb to jump on this song.
After that, I was devastated.
My performance at the Laugh Factory was a bomb.
I couldn't bring myself to set foot in a comedy club for years. But after I got sober, since I couldn't go to bars and nightclubs anymore, I started going to comedy clubs for fun. And while I was sitting there looking at the stage, I couldn't help but think, man, I should be on that stage. But I was just too scared until I met Dane Cook.
Hey, what's going on, man?
You know, I've tried stand-up comedy a little bit in the past.
Come down to the Laugh Factory here in Hollywood, and I'm gonna bring Steve-O up as my special guest.
That same day I met Dane Cook, I started writing a new set and practicing it. And then I met up with him at the comedy club and we both performed. After the show, we sat down so he could give me notes, and the first thing he said was, "I'm not sending you back to the drawing board." What I heard was, "You're a natural. Your material is amazing." So I was so excited to get back to the comedy club and keep working on this act and polishing it. And that's what I did. Then I ended up going on Howard Stern and telling him, "Yo, Howard, I'm in the comedy club all the time." I've been doing stand-up comedy lately.
I didn't know that.
And in the last 2.5 weeks, I've been up 9 times at the LA Improv,
So
at the
what
Laugh
do you do, like a
Factory.
half hour? Do you do 20
Like
minutes?
15, 20 minutes.
That's very good.
After that Howard Stern interview, one of my reps called me up and said, "Comedy clubs all over the country are reaching out about booking you as a headliner." And I was like, right on, but I've only got like 20 minutes of material. So my tour began with me doing half the show as stand-up and then the other half as stunts. And I was like slashing my tongue and bleeding everywhere, squeezing lemon juice in my eyes, setting myself on fire. There was nothing sustainable about doing all that stuff twice a night. But I did it anyway until I had 45 minutes worth of stand-up that worked. And the material that worked for me in the beginning was all about sex. The premise being that I wanted to become famous so that I could get laid.
There are women out there, and they're not even that rare. If they've seen you on TV and then they spot you in real life, they turn into baseball vendors. Pussy over here!
I did a lot of stuff about porno. Lesbian porno? That's like a skateboarding video with nothing but ramps and nobody riding them. And a lot of graphic stories about sexual encounters I'd had. And as soon as she pulled out my wiener, she got all serious and looked at me and said, "I was in a bad accident." And I'm like, what the fuck? Then she says, "Get ready to have a really good time." And with her free hand, she pulled out her teeth. Like her upper teeth were all attached to this retainer thing. But don't feel bad for me. Because when the teeth came out, it was fucking awesome. Seriously, I was blown away. All my material leaned so much on sex stuff that it was really pretty cringy. And my behavior was pretty cringy too. I've learned how to live free of drugs and alcohol one day at a time. Now it turns out I'm a sex addict too. That's a problem I'm dealing with one tomorrow at a time. I was making all kinds of jokes about acting out sexually, but it was a real problem. Every trip I went on, I said, on this trip I'm not gonna fool around with anybody. But everywhere I went, something popped up that made it hard. You know, like when I was in Toronto, I was just minding my own business in the titty bar. I really wanted to change my ways because I believed if I was going to be happy, I needed to learn how to have a healthy relationship. So I got into therapy, and my therapist recommended a period of abstinence. Total celibacy, which means you don't even jack off. Yeah, shit just got real. I actually brought a professional cock blocker with me on tour, and that's how I started working with Scott Randall.
It's a true story.
Ladies, don't even try it, because that man will take a fucking bullet for this dick. And he was so good at his job that I ended up going for 431 days without blowing a load at all. No jacking off, no fooling around, no nutting. So my whole journey with sexual sobriety played out in my stand-up. And then I got a deal to record my first comedy special for Showtime, and that was the whole act, except I plugged in super gnarly, one-time only stunts, like having a UFC fighter choke me completely unconscious and drop me on my head. There was a 30-second Q&A while I was getting electrocuted with a taser. And for where I was at the time, that special could not have come out any better. But then when I started working on my new act after that, I was like, dude, I'm gonna get into more interesting stuff than just sex, like really crazy crap. And I did all this material about my criminal record and stuff, and I'm like, whoa, all of these stories happened on camera. So what if I cut the footage together where you're seeing it happen while I'm telling the stories and the jokes? I'm like, oh my God, this is insane. Multimedia comedy. Get ready, this is gonna be gnarly.
Pretty gnarly.
Kind of gnarly.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
And it is ready for you to watch it right now at steveo.com. So get on over to steveo.com and watch my new special. It's called Gnarly.